Today's video is going to be part one of a 4-part ornament build series. We're going to walk through the product type of ornaments and exactly how to be successful on the platform of Etsy, which is with myself and our 7-figure POD coaches who have collectively sold tens of thousands of ornaments on the platform. Now, each of these 4 days, we deep dive into topics that you need to understand to be successful with this product type. We wanted to give you the full blueprint, the full roadmap, the full understanding to be ultra successful this Q4 season with this product. So in day one, in today's video, we're going to be covering the top ornament variation on Etsy. We'll teach you the proper pricing structure and offer tactics so you have the right structure to your actual offer itself. We're going to teach you how to leverage all of the stacked search volume that sits within this product category, how to navigate it, and when to launch listings by. Basically, during day one, we're going to lay the foundation so you are set and ready to go before we get into day 2, 3, and 4, where you are going to get some immense value. We're going to be walking through live photo template builds for this product type. We're going to be walking through multiple live design tutorials for this product type. And then we're going to wrap things up with a live tutorial of exactly how to do your Etsy titles and your Etsy tags for the product type of ornaments, how to reach the maximum number of relevant buyers, and how to be profitable with your ad spend. It's going to be an amazing 4 days. Today starts day 1, but make sure you have liked this video, hit the subscribe button, and turn your notifications on, because over the next 4 days, we're going to be releasing each of these days' videos, and you do not want to miss a single bit. So again, make sure those notifications are on, and let's get started with day 1 of the 4-day ornament build event. Day 1 ornament challenge. It's going to be a fun one. I got some good value for you guys. What I was saying at the intro of yesterday's was going to be that my goal right now for the next 4 days, my goal, our coach's goal, is to just deliver as much value as possible. That is our goal. We want to give you the most clarity with this product type possible. We're going to give you all of the strategies, the secrets, the things that we've done personally that have allowed us to thrive. I mean, we've sold tens of thousands of ornaments collectively between myself and our coaches. So we know exactly what needs to be done. And I just want you guys to get so much value out of these 4 days. So ceramic ornament and gift box. The circular ceramic ornament is the top variation on Etsy from a sales standpoint. So with the addition of a white gift box with top and bottom cotton inserts for the protection of the ornaments, you have the perfect product to explode your Q4 sales. Due to the nature of the gift box, you'll have more buyers interested in your offer as it's more giftable and ships more securely. This will lead you to the following. Number 1, this is going to lead to an improved click-through rate if you emphasize it. And by emphasizing, I mean if you have, maybe the gift box shown in the front photo, maybe you have a badge that displays it. We'll talk about that later on in the training, but if you emphasize it, it can really help with your click-through rate. Number 2, it improves your conversion rate. Just hands down, if you have the gift box, your conversion rate is going to be higher versus sellers who don't. So other sellers selling ornaments through like Printify and other places, they have a big disadvantage without the gift box. It is such a main component to your offer. So most of your competition on the gift box, not all of it, but most of the competition would be from your individual sellers who fulfill their own orders. They have the gift boxes, but you get that improved conversion rate massively. And then number 3, you have the higher margin capabilities. This is versus other print providers. So you have the ability to charge more, especially as you get later into the season when sales have really ramped up. You can actually start moving your price up, and people are willing to pay for the gift box. So it's something to really note, and something you'll have again in your back pocket to utilize as sales pick up, and you can increase your margin even higher. So it's a really big piece to the pie here with having the ornament itself. Now, with that being said, I want to kind of paint the picture for what the season actually looks like. So I've actually gone through some data. I've dug in with the wonderful ChatGPT, like everyone out there does, and then my own data from my own Etsy shop. So I've kind of taken those two things together. I want to show you what to expect and when the timelines kind of take place. This is really fun. It gives you the right mindset. This is why people love ornaments so much. So first and foremost, this chart right here, this is showing you the demand side. So we're looking at a rise in demand. So we're going to talk about demand first. So this is search volume for ornaments, demand for ornaments. You can see that there is 3 dotted lines right here. You have Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then you have the typical range for the cutoff for shipping deadlines. And you have that peak right around roughly December 15th is where you're looking at. Now, with this being said, we're all the way down here. We're all the way on the now side. So we're way down here where this little X is. That's where we sit today, September 9th, 2025. You have a lot ahead of you when it comes to the demand increase. So what that actually looks like is you're going to see a 16x increase in demand from now until the peak. It's numbers that are from Etsy. So that's really, really helpful here with Etsy and ChatGPT. Now, if we continue through, it gets even better. This is you're not only going to see a rise in demand, but you're going to also see a rise in conversion. And those two paired together is a multiplying factor, which makes Ornaments so explosive, which many of you have seen. But this chart right here, it looks a little bit messy. It's a lot of numbers going on, but I'll break it down really easily. The bottom line right there, that gold line, is that 16x increase in your demand. The dotted orange line is your increase in conversion. You go from an average of a 2% conversion rate around this time frame, and you peak at about a 6% conversion rate on average. This is just average numbers. You'll have some listings that do better, some listings that do worse, but this is the average. You go from a 2 to a 6 by the peak of the season. So with that being said, these things multiply together. You have a 16x increase in demand and a 2.5x increase in conversion, which leads to a 40x multiple. So you would have a 40x multiple on the potential with this product. So whatever you're seeing now, I'm not saying it's going to happen to a T. With whatever ornament sales you have happening now, it could absolutely 40x. So you're seeing sellers absolutely have that happen. So this is not just to motivate you and go like, rah, 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 it's going to be so awesome. But this is to really encourage you that like the work you pour in now over the next 2 months. Look at the timeline right here. This is right at November 1st. November 1st is still like right into the ramp up. After November 1st, that's when things really kick off. But you have 2 months to double down, and you have this time frame to get listings up, to drive rank, to gain visibility, and then hit that massive growth curve that happens from November all the way up until December 15th for about 45 days. So make sure you lock in ASAP. Okay, let's continue through. So to back some of these numbers up, these are my actual stats from Wimley Mugs, one of my 4 Etsy shops that I had active prior. So why I'm showing you these numbers, it's actually important, I think, for people to wrap their mind around, like, hey, this is what my Etsy shop actually did. I have 2 separate screenshots here. The top one is showing from September 1st to October 31st. So that is a 2-month period of time. And I want to highlight on the start of the challenge yesterday. So this shop is not active right now, but rewind a couple years. This is, September 8th. We ran $1,111 on that day. So that was September 8th, a couple years ago. Now, also, I want you to note the conversion rate. We're averaging a 3.9% conversion rate for that 60-day window. Now, fast forward to the next 60-day window, November 1st, that magical kickoff point. So from November 1st just to December 20th, so not 60, but 50 days, we ran up to a 7.3% conversion rate and peaked at a $16,350 day in the shop. So why I'm showing you this is interesting with the numbers. The demand increase that you're seeing, that 16x multiple, from a sales perspective, I had a 16x multiple. Now, you have to remember, I had coffee mugs, 20-ounce tumblers, wine tumblers, and ceramic ornaments. So we're talking about 4 product types. So this is not going to be just a 40x multiple. But even with all of that together, we went from just over $1,000 a day, peaking at $16,350 a day, and you can really see that rise in conversion. We almost doubled during that time frame, so averaging out. So taking the numbers I showed you on that chart for ornaments specifically, and then taking the numbers in my shop where I had, a portion of my products were ornaments, you can really see how that correlates really strongly up and to the right where everyone likes to see data go. Okay, let's continue here. I'll slow down because I know I talk really fast, and some people are like, whoa, slow down there, buddy. I will slow down for you guys. All right, so let's talk about launching ornaments and the timing of when to do this. So there's a couple ways to look at this. This question gets asked very often, like, when should I launch my listing? Should I launch them now? Should I wait? Like, what does that look like? So right now through the end of October is, in theory, easier to drive rank for any ornaments as sales are lower and it takes less to get ranked. So in theory, right now, it takes less total output from a sales standpoint to gain your rank. However, you have to remember that ad spend will be less profitable by far, and keywords will be harder to identify as there's overall a lot less demand. So, for example, in order to drive rank for a term like, let's say, new home ornament, I'm going to use that as an example. Let's say it's a new home ornament. To drive rank for that term right now, it's a big search category, but it's early. If you were to drive rank for a term like that in September, it might only take 1 or 2 sales a day to get ranked on page 1. Now, fast forward all the way to November 1st, it might take 25 sales a day to get ranked on page 1. So this is why on one side of the spectrum, it's easier to get rank from that sales velocity standpoint because it takes a lot less output to get those top spots in search. But it's less profitable from an ad standpoint, and it's harder to know exactly what to do because you can't really see the takeoff so much yet because it hasn't happened yet. So you're anticipating what's to come. Now, on the flip side, as we get into October and November, search terms will be way more visible. Ad spend will become more profitable and sales will begin to take off. But this means that it will be harder to drive rank during this time frame. So just like I just said, during October and November, as you get later into that like right as sales are going to ramp up, it takes a lot more sales for each page on Etsy to actually drive rank to the top of the page. So it's a lot more output, but it's a give or take because you're battling two sides here. So all in all, if you are worried about losing out on the halo period when Etsy doesn't know where to index you, you can keep your listings in draft and launch them around October 1st and then flip on your Etsy ads. You can refer to the chart I have too. You can kind of time out when you want to do that based on conversion, based on rise in demand, but October 1st and flip on ads then. Otherwise, you can launch ASAP, like right now. You can start launching ornaments today and wait to turn ads on as we get closer. So right around that October 1st timeframe. And if all else fails, if you get maybe it's a month from now, you're like, okay, I haven't seen anything happen on these. You can make a copy of those ornament listings, make any keyword adjustments. And now that you can see a little bit more, any other adjustments that you need to make on the listing, and then flip ads on and let that new product have the same potential there. So that's kind of like the best bet because if things didn't work out, you have the ability to relaunch another listing. But with that being said, it's up to you. Both work. My first year ever launching ornaments, I didn't launch them until the middle to end of October. I was literally like, we're still getting listings up at the end of October. And I think we sold almost 20,000 ornaments that first year. So there's pros and cons for both sides to it, but I'll let you use the data and use this kind of strategy to decide, am I going to launch them now or am I going to wait and turn on ads later? Okay. So building your ornament HPP list. So the first place to start when mapping out any product type in the POD space on Etsy is to build your high potential product list. For those of you who don't know, an HPP list is a proven list of products that you know are in demand based on sales history. This ensures that the time you spend growing your business is targeted towards products that all have solid potential. If you don't already know how to build an HPP list, please refer to the Start Here course inside the training section on ICP. I don't want to spend time showing you how to build an HPP list. This should be something, if you don't already know how to, totally fine. Just go watch that. It's about an hour long. It's going to teach you the full process for building one out. I'm not going to show you that today because we have so much more to cover. But the basis to all this is remind yourself, you're on a platform. So I say this over and over and over again, but it's so important. Search volume is the lifeline to your business. Your business is no more and no less than the amount of search volume you leverage. That is just the nature of the business you're in. Without search volume, you don't make sales. So you only want to be leveraging products that have massive demand around them. So when you're building out your HPP list, if you haven't done one before, you need kind of a visual representation, it will look something like this. You're going to be going into Etsy and finding some of these top shops for the product type of ornaments. And in this case, I only have 3 shops here. You're probably going to have 5 to 10x the amount. So that'd be like 15 to 30 shops overall that you're going to pull in, and you're going to plug those into Everbee. Everbee is then going to spit out some spreadsheets for you, which can show you line items of each item that have done really good or really bad. And you're able to filter that and be able to see exactly which ornaments have the sales behind them, which then tells you which ornaments have the actual search volume behind them. Because if they're selling on the platform, they wouldn't sell without the search volume. So it's the easiest way to reverse engineer that. So again, this is what you're going to kind of be doing in that process. Now, with that being said, ornaments are different. Ornaments are unique. They're not like every other product type out there. And with that being said, It's really important to understand the difference here and how to approach it. So search volume has a rapid rise inside of November and December for ornaments, and the majority of the search volume is what I call stacked. It means there's a lot in certain search categories. There's a lot of search volume. This means there are certain search categories that have massive demand and need to be approached in the correct manner in order to maximize sales. My goal for you in this section of the training is to become equipped knowing how to properly leverage this stacked search volume without cannibalizing your listings in search. So again, you're going to have a lot happening in certain search categories, which we'll cover here in a second, and you need to know how to approach that properly. So for example, you might be building out your HPP list. Let's say, for example, you plugged 20 shops into Everbee that were crushing it on Etsy with ornaments, and you get, a list of, let's say, 6,000 products back, and you're filtering through them. You might see that you find 487 engagement ornaments right there on your list, and you're like, okay, do I launch one engagement ornament? Do I launch 2, 10, 100? Like, how many of these do I actually need to launch? And a lot of people get hung up on this because of this stacked search volume. This is not just reserved for engagement. It happens for baby's first Christmas. It happens for a new home. It happens for baptism. It happens for a lot of different search categories. So when you get your high potential product list started and you're getting all these shops in, you're going to realize, man, there's so many sales sitting on the same exact types of products. And that can be really not discouraging, but it can leave you kind of unclear of what to do. So what you're going to notice, like I said, is these are like the top 10 search categories. There's other search categories as well. And there's also search categories that are smaller where you're not going to get a ton of stacked listings in. Those are like your individual one-off micro markets that you will absolutely find. So make sure you don't neglect those. But when it comes to the top search categories, these are pretty much what they are. You have baby's first Christmas. You have first Christmas married or just married ornaments. You have engagement or couples ornaments. You have new home. You have boys and girls ornaments, so more like children, not baby, but children. You have pets. You have people, so family members, think of it that way. You have professions. You have baptism, and you have sports. These are kind of like the main overarching search categories that exist for ornaments that, like, so much of the search volume really sits inside of these specifically. So that's something to keep an eye out for and to correlate kind of what you're going to learn to each of these individually on a case-by-case basis. So like I said, ornaments are not like other product types. They're not like apparel. They're not like certain other ones. You may only identify around like 150 to 200 or so micro markets. And these are micro markets being individually searched for products. You're only going to find about 150 to 200 unique ones with ornaments. However, due to the immense search volume inside of certain search categories, your approach is going to differ. Like I keep saying, it's going to differ from apparel. It's going to differ from mugs. It's going to differ from tumblers. It's going to differ. Your approach has to shift a little bit because of the stacked search volume. So I would assume right now you're probably wondering, like, hey, like, how many listings then per search category? Like, how many do I need? Do I need 1, 10, 100? What would it be? So to maximize ornaments, you should absolutely have more than one listing per major micro market or per search category. So an example of this would be the engagement ornament market. There's a lot of stacked search volume inside this one micro market. However, you should move with a bit of caution to avoid competing against yourself with listings in search and in return throttling your ability to drive rank. So yes, you should have more than one, but you got to move with caution. So this is why this matters. This is really important. Now, what I'm going to teach you right here, it matters no matter what product type you have, but it really matters a lot to wrap your brain around this for ornaments because of the stack search volume. So Etsy's algorithm feeds off of positive engagement on a listing by listing basis. Some people have myths out there. They think that just the top shops are getting all the sales because Etsy likes top shops, and that's not true. It's because Etsy loves when you get clicks, when you get favorites, and of course, sales being the key. Etsy loves when you get sales. So if you're getting healthy metrics, good amount of clicks, good amount of favorites, a good amount of sales, Etsy wants to show your product more. And this is on a listing by listing basis. So every page in search on Etsy has background metrics that are dictating where each listing lands. So think of it this way. like all these products over here, like why is this one positioned here? Why is this one positioned here? Why is this one positioned here? And so on and so forth. Like why are they landing where they're landing? Like what drives that? And the two major factors that determine rank, where you're actually showing up in search, your true version of rank, are your click-through rate and your conversion rate. Those are your main two. If, for example, out of every 100 views you get, that means like impressions you get showing up in search. For every 100 times you show up in search, if 5 people click on you, that's a 5% click-through rate. And that's a good number. 5% is a healthy click-through rate for sure. And then on the conversion side, let's say out of everyone who clicks on you, you have a 5% conversion rate. That's a healthy conversion rate. So that might allow you to drive rank up higher if that's beyond the average. Or if you're below that, let's say you're at a 1% click-through rate, so 1 out of every 100 people who can see you in search clicks on you, and out of those who click on you, only 2% buy, that means you might be below average than the average click-through rate and average conversion rate. So what you have to remember is every single page on Etsy, this is the major two metrics that drives your ability to be at the top, bottom, middle, left, right, wherever it may be, is that there's an average. No matter what term you type in on Etsy, there's an average click-through and an average conversion that's dictating where those specific listings land. And so if you're below the curve or below that baseline of whatever the average is, you might drop in rank or you might just not be able to climb. If you're above the average, you have a above average click-through and above average conversion, you will climb in rank. So you just think of that base level, no matter what page you land on Etsy, there's always that happening. So this is really important to digest and to understand. This is what dictates where every single listing lands. So let's play a game real quick to understand this crucial factor on Etsy and how it can impact your ornament success massively. So multiple listings. I want you to imagine you have 4 of the exact same listings with no differences. So I got 4 engagement ornaments over here. Imagine you got 4 of the exact same listings. You would show up for the same keywords in the same place on Etsy, utilizing the same reach, the same ad spots, literally the same potential. Everything's the same. We're going to keep everything cohesive for this example. With this, you might get a click on one listing. You might get a click and a favorite on another listing. You might get 5 clicks on the next one, and you might get a click and a sale on your 4th. Just kind of painting a picture for you. You're getting some action here, a little bit there, double clicks here, but you're spreading it out. Now, congratulations. You have successfully divided all of your positive metrics 4 times over, weakening your ability to drive rank. Because in this case, same title, same tags, same design, same everything, extreme example, but it matters. So this has been intentionally emphasized. I'm emphasizing this, that again, you're kind of doing yourself disjustice by dividing out your metrics, because Etsy thrives off of these positive metrics. So this is an extreme example, but it's important to understand. In an ideal world, you would maximize clicks, favorites, and sales on one listing. You'd put all those positive metrics. In an ideal world, you would push them all to one listing, even in a major search category, and drive rank all the way to the top of page 1 for multiple terms. That'd be in an ideal world. You would do that. However, you would be leaving a lot on the table in that case. So I'm assuming you're here with my funny little graphic. I think you're right here. So on one hand, you're like, hey, you're saying don't have duplicate listings for the same micro market because you're going to, cannibalize yourself in search. On the other hand, you're saying if I don't have more than one listing in a major micro market, then I'm leaving a lot on the table. So like, what should I do then? Do I not win either way? But I have a great answer for you here. So this is how to approach these major search categories like baby's first Christmas, like new home, like engagement, like baptism, like many others out there where there's a lot of this stacked search volume. So the first thing and the biggest thing you need to do is you need to identify key differences. So when looking at the products on your high potential product list, you should be looking to identify key differences in design that would lead to fundamental changes in keywording for your titles and tags. So remember that slide when I said you have 487 results with engagement ornament? In that case, you need to be looking through those. And maybe you don't have to look through all 487, but you at least need to look through dozens of them at the top of your list. And you need to determine, Are there key differences in the design itself that would most likely lead me to fundamental changes in my title and in my tags? And if that's the case, that's really, really helpful, because what you're doing is you're going to be now placing yourself with different search volume, with different descriptive keywords. Again, your titles and tags being the main driver for where you're going to show up on Etsy. So you want to find these key differences in design that, again, lead to those fundamental changes in your keywording. So an example of this might look like this. This is the engagement ornament market. There's more, by the way, than just these. These are just 5 examples here of products that are selling really, really, really well that have key differences that would allow you to properly leverage this stacked search volume, all in the same micro market of engagement ornaments. So first off, on the left-hand side, we have engagement ornament beach. This is a beach theme engagement ornament. Next, we have the mountain or nature themed one. Next, we have the city, or the city landscape or the skyline. We have the map or the coordinates or location one. And then we have the calendar or date ornament. So in this case, the base micro market, it's the same. It's still an engagement ornament. However, there is key fundamental differences in each of these designs, which are allowing them to be best sellers across the board. And the keywording to these is going to be slightly different. Now, is there going to be some overlap? Absolutely. They're all engagement ornaments. However, you're not getting the duplication of the exact same title, the exact same tags, and the same design, or minor changes in design, or minor changes to titles and tags. You're getting a much bigger difference, which allows you to branch out and now properly leverage the search volume. So summarizing this in short, with every major search category or micro market that you find when working through your high potential product list, you should always look to identify the main differences in design and keywording that would allow you to expand your reach and not overly compete against yourself. You're looking for those key factors in these giant search categories with a ton of stacked search volume. All right, guys, real quick, if you're getting a lot of value out of this training and you really want to take your business to the next level, I have something super special for you. So there is a link in the description below where you can apply to work one-on-one with our active 7-figure Etsy print-on-demand coaches. Right now is the absolute best time frame of the entire year to invest in your business and to double down on growth. And the reason for this is due to the massive rise in search volume and the massive rise in conversion rate during the months of October, November, and December. So when you take the leap right now and you begin working hand in hand with an active 7-figure Etsy print-on-demand coach, your results can absolutely explode during the Q4 season. You can maximize the revenue and profit you are generating in your business and come into 2026 much better positioned at 3, 4, 5 times the level you're sitting at today. So I can't implore you enough. If you're going to take the leap at some point in time over the next few months, this is the time frame to do it. During the season where conversion is at a 2.5x level, where search volume is at a 15 to 20x level, when things are popping off the charts, this is the time to double down and make it happen. So if you are ready to take your business to the next level, like I said before, I can't encourage you enough. This is the time frame to do it. It's the easiest time frame out of the entire year. The link is in the description below. You can apply there and you'll get a overview video sent to you if you are approved for our coaching program. And the last thing I want to share with you is that registration will officially close on October 1st, and anyone who applies after October 1st will be moved on to a wait list for when registration reopens at some point inside of 2026. Now, this is a major pro tip, and I want you to triple read this and understand this, like lock this in, because this is what changes the game for you. When you create designs that align strongly with descriptive keywords, your conversion rate will increase as you're only gaining relevancy, aka you are providing exactly what the buyer is looking for. So when you do this for products that have a 16x increase in search volume and a 2.5x increase in conversion rate, you'll find home runs with some of these more assumed search volume items. When I say that, I mean, if you're to go back and look at this right here, you may not know right now that the cityscape ornament is going to sell really well inside of November, because maybe it's not selling too well right now, or maybe the calendar one's not, or maybe the beach one probably is because it's more, season. The season is here for that one more. But with all that being said, you're going to see things take off, because if you're tailoring it right, you're actually gaining more relevancy, which is going to increase your conversion rate across the board. So again, Really digest this. When you are able to use those descriptive terms, you're going to increase your conversion. You're going to increase your click-through because you're providing what the buyer is actually looking for. So to paint this picture a little bit clearer here, imagine someone comes on Etsy and they start out by searching engagement ornament. Maybe that's what they're looking for, but they don't really know exactly what they want yet. So they type in engagement ornament. And Etsy provides them with a bunch of different results. And they start looking like, well, this isn't really what I'm looking for. Ooh, I saw one that kind of has a map, but I kind of want to see more. So then they, as a buyer, just add the term map onto the end of what they search for. This is why you see terms like engagement ornament map pop up or engagement ornament location or whatever it may be, because it's an afterthought for the buyer. They're zeroing in on exactly what they're actually looking for. So let's say now the buyer types in engagement ornament map. These keywords could be leveraged in this case: engagement ornament location, engagement ornament map, engagement ornament coordinates, and many other different terms. It doesn't have to be just engagement ornament with that. It can be, some other very relevant terms with the map, the coordinates, the location style terms. So because you went more specific with your design, because that then allows you to become more relevant with your keywording, anytime someone sees you based on a term like this, your chance for getting a click is much higher because you're more relevant with what they're searching for. Your chance to then convert also increases as well. And so these things paired together allows you to then properly leverage all of this stack search volume. If you just approach these search categories like engagement ornament and you're like, hey, I think I'm just going to launch 10 ornaments for engagement, it's like, cool, but how are you going to make fundamental changes? And that's why you need to dig into your HPP list and find items like this, where there's key differences in the actual design, which leads to key fundamental changes in the keywording itself. And remember, when I say like assume search volume, that search volume that's coming will hit hard. As you know, when I showed you that graph and it ramps up by 16x and conversion rates rising, these terms will start popping off. Like people will be searching for terms just like this inside the season. There'll be even more long tail terms that you would never expect, but people are really specific with what they want during that time frame. Okay, so as you're going through this process, the outcome for what it's actually going to look like might be like this. So these are your top 10 search categories. So maybe you find 12 specific baby's first Christmas ones where you found key fundamental changes in the design, which are going to lead to key fundamental changes in your keywording. You might find 5 for married, 10 for engagement, 8 for new home, 12 for boys and girls, 6 for pets, 30 for people, because there's a lot of people. 10 for professions, 9 for baptism, 15 for sports. Now, don't copy this at all. I just put in random numbers for you because I want you to actually do the work. But that might give you 117 listings in just 10 search categories. So my point is, you need to double down on your HPP list, dig through the data, and find those key fundamental changes, and then start to identify what those are. And that will give you clarity on exactly what to design for, how to design for it, and then how to then keyword it so it's more relevant for the buyer, which will increase your click-through and increase your conversion, which, ding, 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 is what Etsy wants you to do. That's what Etsy loves. Etsy loves those positive metrics. So important to understand this. This is how you leverage stack search volume. So definitely digest that as much as you can. And a reminder, just the visual side, because I know everyone's visual. I think everyone's a visual learner. This is what it should look like. And this is just for engagement. But for let's say new home, you would have key fundamental changes. You might have, I'll actually use a different example. Let's say it's baby's first Christmas. You might have a dinosaur one. You might have a ballerina one. You might have a fire truck one, whatever it may be, or a red truck, not a fire truck, but a red truck. You will find what those are, but those are going to give you key fundamental changes for each. If it's new home, you might have the actual portrait of the home or the picture of the home. You might just have the address. You might keep one minimal. You might do one where you have like the keys. If it's, let's think of another one. I'm blanking on the other categories. What are the categories we have there? But anyways, you guys get the gist. You're looking to, again, identify those key differences and then deploy them accordingly. So don't just, go and say, hey, I'm going to launch 10 engagement ornaments. Okay, if it's 10, what are the key differences with each of those, which is going to lead to those changes that are important to leverage the stack search volume? Okay, I'm going to double check. Is everyone tracking? You can let me know in the Q&A tab. Let me know if you're tracking right now. I'm going to get some water real quick here. Again, thumbs up. Love it, love it, love it. Good. Good, good, good. Perfect. Okay, great. All right. So moving into the next portion right here, we have the pricing structure and offer tactics that we talk about very often at ICP, which are pretty universal. We're going to start with the universal ones, and then we're going to move into the specifics for ornaments here. So let's get back over here. Okay, let's go. Here we go. There we go. All right. So first and foremost, for those you don't know, we covered this on the last challenge, but there's new faces here. Some people don't know my funny verbiage. I have different verbiage for each of these components to your business, but verified pricing structures. What is that? A verified pricing structure is a pricing structure for a product type you are selling that has been proven to work at scale, not just a one-off scenario. So this means if you utilize that pricing structure that another seller has used to generate thousands of sales, you can too. So you're verifying your data. You want to be using a verified pricing structure. You don't want to be guessing unless you have such a good offer that it's different than everyone else because you're just somehow it's a way better price point. But you want to verify your pricing structure for any product type. And we're going to talk about that for ornaments here in a minute. Then you have verified offer tactics. Now, verified offer tactics are marketing tactics to enhance your offer and amplify all of your hard work. Again, it's like dumping gasoline on a fire. So what that means is if the foundation to your offer is actually really strong, so meaning you have a great design, great photos, relevant, strong keywording, you're in a micro market that's actually active and people are searching for that, you have just an awesome offer overall. If you deploy offer tactics, then you're probably going to get a better result. It's going to increase your click-through. It's going to increase your conversion. It's going to help you out. But if you don't have that foundation there, it's like you're just not going to get much out of an offer tactic. So don't use this as a Band-Aid fix. Offer tactics are specifically to enhance your offer and make it stand out even more, give yourself even better metrics. And when you apply that to a great base listing, a great base design, a great base offer, then you get the amplified effect. Okay, so the basic ones first and foremost. Again, these are the basic verified tactics you're looking at here. These are what you would see very often talked about, and then we're going to again zero in on ornaments. So with that being said, one offer tactic is the 24-hour sale. So that's when you run a sale just for 24 hours only, so you get a timer on your listing, which will then lead to a higher probability of conversion. You're going to naturally increase your conversion by a little bit just by running a 24-hour sale every single day versus just not doing one at all. So that's one tactic. You have under $6 shipping. Etsy made this change last year around October, where if you have over $6 and you're not doing calculated shipping, you're doing fixed price shipping. If you're over $6, you are going to get throttled with your placement in search. So it's really important to stay underneath that. So if you stay underneath the $6, you get better placement in search. So that's another tactic. In replace of that, you can do calculated shipping. So that is, again, placement in search once more. If you do calculated shipping, that's your only way to get around the $6 shipping cap. You have your $35 free shipping guarantee, also for placement in search. Now, this one's a little bit less important, but can absolutely give you an edge if it works for you. Then you have your low display price, which is for click-through. Just means one of your variations on your listing is discounted down to lower your price in search, because Etsy always shows you shows the buyer the lowest price on your listing, which is going to naturally improve your click-through. Because if you had your item for $25 versus having it for $15, you're more probable to get clicks at $15. This is why leveraging a low display price has been used a lot, and it's still effective to this day. With that being said, you also have your front badge on your photo. This is also for click-through. So if you have a badge that emphasizes something about your offer, it could be a gift box, it could be your shipping, it could be your variations, it could be, dependent upon the product type, a lot of different things. And then last but not least, you have variations. Now, variations can improve click-through rate because if you display or hint at to the buyer that there's variations in your listing, you are going to get more clicks. And then second to that, when they land on your listing, if you have, let's say, 4 or 6 options, you're then able to improve conversion because they're shopping literally on your offer, not on just Etsy in general. So these are the verified offer tactics. Now, there's other things out there. These are just verified. These have been done time and time again, and they work to amplify your offer. Again, don't use these as a Band-Aid to your offer. Smack these on to your offer when your offer is actually great, and you're going to see the amplified effect. Okay, so specifically for ornaments here, we're going to look at what I would personally do and what I have done in the past that's led to better click-through, better conversion, just overall utilizing the right offer tactics for ornaments themselves. So number one is I think you should have a 24-hour sale, hands down. I think you should absolutely do that, especially when you're in the midst of November and December. That 24-hour timer, even though it's tedious setting your sale every single day over and over and over again, I did that for years on end. It's worth it, because when you're in the months of November and December where people start to get really eager, the reason why conversion is increasing during that time frame is because you're getting closer and closer and closer to the actual date, which means they have to make the purchase. That's what's driving conversion up. It's because there is a fixed point on the timeline where it's like, we have to have this item by this point in time. And so that's why conversion rises up. So when you do the 24-hour sale, especially during the season, you get an amplified effect of conversion because they don't want to miss out on your sale. They're like, I got to make the purchase anyways. Let's get it while the sale's still happening. Second is under $6 shipping. I think that for ornaments, it might be a little bit difficult to leverage calculated shipping just due to the nature of the item. Buyers might be, and again, prove me wrong if you want to try this. And I'm not saying like that in a way of like, I know for a fact, I don't actually know. I might even, if I was selling ornaments right now, I might even test and see, could I do calculated shipping and lower my price point even more and offset more into shipping? The only thing you're going to run into is that some buyers will be like, wow, like really, like $9 to ship an ornament? That can be a problem. But with that being said, if you instead of doing calculated shipping, leverage the under $6 shipping, you get the placement in search, and $5.99 or so for shipping is a fine range for ornaments. So I think that's a safer bet to go with if you're unsure. Next is absolutely 100% do a low display price. We're going to dive deep on that one here in a second. I'm going to talk through some different ways to do that, but you should absolutely have a low display price. With the product type of ornaments, you definitely don't want to be sitting in search with a really exaggerated price point. Let's say, for example, your ornament costs $14.99 for the buyer to purchase. If they see $14.99 on the front end, you're just throttling every single potential view you get. When you get a view, are they going to click? I don't know if they're going to click on a $14.99, but they're much more likely to click on it with a lower display price, which again, we're going to talk about in a second. But I think that one's a very important one for ornaments because of the nature of the product type. A lot of people who sell ornaments already have a low display price. And so if you're not sitting in that range, it can be tough to get the clicks at the same volume. Next is I would absolutely have a front badge on my front photo. So I would absolutely do that. That's going to again help with the click through on that. So I'd be emphasizing something. I'll let you do that. You can always be creative with the badge. You don't have to just say free gift box or gift box or fast shipping or whatever. The more unique your offer is, that still sits within the bounds of what makes sense for the market of ornaments, is only going to help you stand out better. So you should be creative. As long as it's backed by data and makes sense for the season, you should be absolutely creative. So whatever you emphasize there, it's up to you. And then I say this as a bonus because I personally didn't really leverage variations with ornaments, and I'm not saying you have to or you should not. It's you can actually pick and choose. You can do some micro markets where you do design variations on your offer and others that you don't. So the reason why this is a bonus is if you do, for example, let's say you do 4 design variations. That means you're designing 4 designs for that listing. So it's going to take more time, but there can be a reward on the other side. You're going to increase conversion because if you have 4 designs and they're great designs, now that buyer who clicked on your listing, every click goes further. They start shopping on your listing and your chance for conversion rises because they're looking at the design options you have. So that's a bonus one. Do it at your own discretion. But those top ones are definitely like a no-brainer in my opinion. So those are the ones I would personally choose. Now, with that being said, I told you I was going to deep dive on the low display price. Now, there's options you can go about doing this with. So, like I said, one of the most important offer tactics for ornaments is utilizing this low display price. This will enhance your click-through rate, which is one of the most important metrics for driving rank and gaining visibility in search. And on the next slide, I'll show you how to increase your click-through rate with the low display price through a variety of different options. So look at this visual down there. That little like $4.98 plus, whenever you see that plus, that means that's like the cheapest variation. There's ones that are more expensive. That's what your goal is to get a lower display price in search. So there is, again, a variety of different ways to do this. Now, am I saying you have to do it with one of these? No, these are all examples, and you have to choose. You are the seller. You're the business owner. You have to decide exactly what you're going to do. use these more as templates of like, I could do a variation of this that would give me the low display price. So with this being said, to get this low display price, which like for my screenshot right here, you can see there is the drop down menu. So when the buyer is shopping on your listing, you might have some variations. When I click the drop down, you can see this seller right here did a circular two-sided for $14.99 or blank circle ceramic for $4.98. So that's how they're getting the $4.98 price point. It's really, really cheap, and they're literally just offering a blank ornament there. So should you do that? That's up to you. That's really up to you. But here's the options. One is you can do a shape. So remember, before I get actually too deep in this, I want to give you guys some context, because some of you might be like, this seems like a little bit, fishy. It seems like a little bit off. Like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. It's up to you still. These are ways in which to get your price point down. The only goal with this is not to get them to buy the lower price one. It's to bring your price point down in search and make it make sense in your listing of why that's lower. So the first one is shape. You can technically say, your whole offer can be all a circular ornament, but you can have a variation that is a square, for example. And some people may buy the square, and we don't fulfill squares, just so you guys know. But more often than not, they're going to choose the circular one and not the square. You can also make it a different shape. It's up to you. Again, be creative. But you can then reach out to them and say, hey, sorry, we don't have the square in stock right now. Would you like the circular version? And more often than not, they're going to say yes. But with that being said, that's one option to lower your display price, which is having your exact offer with a different shape offered, which is up to you. Next is the quote unquote sold out variation. Now, before you guys start jamming in the Q&A and say, like, you can't do the sold out variation anymore. If you do a sold out variation, it used to be on Etsy. If it was actually sold out, it would still show the low display price in search. But then when they got to your listing, it'd be grayed out and they couldn't actually click on the sold out variation. So that was a big way in which you could get a low display price, because you could just make any variation you wanted, put it as sold out, and it'd bring your price point down to that. But you can get around this by literally naming your variation sold out, whatever. So you you're naming your variation sold out something, which then allows you to get the lower display price on that one. So whatever that may be, however you want to leverage the sold out, but you got to manually type in sold out as one of your options. And the amount of people who are going to choose the sold out one is few and far between. And if that does happen, it's a pretty easy conversation because it says sold out. So that's another way to lower your display price. Next is the blank. So like this seller did here, they did a blank circular ornament. So this is one way you can do it. Now, if you just have two options, this one's a little bit tough for two reasons. Number one is it's kind of like some buyers feel juked out. And again, you're probably going to get some messages here and there, but the pros far outweigh the cons of like, hey, like, I don't like how you have the lower price on this one, whatever. With the blank, it's a little bit more difficult because there's literally not really any value in a blank ornament. There's nothing really there. So it does work to get lower on there, but I do suggest if you do the blank to do it if you do design variations. So for those of you out there who know Steven from Hello Custom, his ornament success was with variations. So he'd have 4 to 6 design variations, and then he'd have a blank option to get the low display price. That looks more natural because you have other design variations, and then you have the blank one in there. So it seems more in line. But when you just have two options, it's a little bit more difficult. The other component is, technically speaking, this is why it's at your own discretion. A blank ornament is not what Etsy would classify as a personalized handmade item. So that should be technically categorized in a the supplies section on Etsy. So that's up to you. Have I ever seen that backfire on anyone? I've never seen it, but again, you're a business owner. You got to make your decision for yourself of what you're going to do. And so if you don't feel comfortable offering the blank, then don't do it. There's a variety of other ways. Next is non-personalized. So this is where you'd have let's say, the vast majority, I don't even know if I've ever had an ornament actually that is a non-personalized ornament. I think every single ornament you sell should probably be personalized in one way or another, most likely. If it's not, it's probably gonna be missing some value. So because of the nature of that, people definitely can correlate in their mind, okay, the non-personalized one is cheaper, so that makes sense, but I really do want the personalized one. So they're willing to pay $3, $4, $5 more for the personalized one. And it makes sense to the buyer of, okay, they have to personalize this for me. So that makes sense of why they're charging more. So that can absolutely be a way. Now, you might get some people, though, just to give you some context, they might choose the non-personalized one and still leave you personalization details. So it might create a little bit of customer service. It's up to you, but it's a way, again, to get the low display price in search. Next is design only. So again, one that can be kind of like iffy. Do you want to do this? Do you not? it's up to you. But if you did the design only, would be like, okay, here's my ornament with the design, and then here's the design only. I can send you the design separately after you make the purchase. That's another option you can do. These other ones down here, guaranteed delivery. You could say, okay, here's my ornament, and then here's my ornament with guaranteed delivery by X date, and it moves up by $3. So that's what, the vast majority of buyers are going to choose that one if it's guaranteed anyway. So that's one way to do it. But it's up to you, and you can decide if you want to do that. And then last but not least, you could do one option, which is your normal. Here is, the design. And then here's the design, which includes a proof, which means I'm going to send a proof over to you of your personalized design, but it's going to cost you an extra $5. And so these are just creative ways to get the low display price. Some of these are better than others, in my opinion. Some of these take more work than others, so you got to be careful with this. But I'm giving you different options because I want to remind you, be creative. Don't just do what every single other person's doing. There is an infinite amount of different ways to get yourself to a low display price. There's a lot of other ways, not just these, but these are examples to get you thinking, how do I get a low display price that stands out? It makes sense. It's cohesive with my offer, and I'll let you decide on that. And to kind of connect two things here together, if you are emphasizing a specific aspect of your offer on a badge, and you utilize the gift box, and you have a low display price that's unique, and you've done this in a way where it's different than what everyone else is doing, you probably have, as long as it's within the bounds of what the ornament market looks like, you probably have an ability to stand out. So don't just do what every single other person is doing, but use it as framework to say, okay, what should I do? What makes sense for my offer, and how am I going to stand out and be creative with it within the bounds of the product type? Okay, continuing through. So verified pricing for your ornaments. This is the structure I would be looking to leverage if it was me, and I'm going to talk through a few things with this. So number one is the $9.99 or less display price. So we're talking about that low display price. Your goal is to get to $9.99 or less. It could be $8.99, $7.99, $6.99, $5.99, depends on what your offer is. But you want to get to $9.99 or less. The higher up you are, the lower your click-through rate is in theory. I'm not saying you won't sell ornaments if you have a $12.99 price point in search or $14.99 price point in search. I've seen many sellers sell thousands of ornaments at that price point with no low display price, but it can absolutely help you with click-through. So that's what I do. I get a low display price of $9.99 or less with some tactic that I just covered. Your actual price point would start at about $12.99. So that'd be your actual, where like the vast majority of your sales are happening, is your actual price point is really $12.99 is what you're looking at. Now, with that being said, I'd also run a 50% off sale. Now, when I say 50% off, it can be any percentage. I just wanted to paint a picture. 50% off, 30% off, 60% off, up to you. I would run a 24-hour sale though, with the percentage discount there to get my timer on the listing. Just like this one, you can see right here. You can see the timer on the countdown. You can see the low display price on the countdown, and you can see 60% off right here. So that's much more attractive than if it just said $14.99. Because when you actually click on that listing, I think it is like $14.99. So there's actually more of a price point there. And then last but not least, shipping, I would do $5.99. So I do a fixed cost shipping of $5.99. So I'm underneath that $6 threshold. You can add on, let's say $2.99 for your additional units, roughly, so you can actually make a little bit more, or you can do $1.99 and you'll make the same margin on those additional units. It's up to you how you want to do that, but you can structure that in a way that makes sense for your offer. So this is what I would do that's verified, that works. The low display price is so important. The sale is important to get that, especially during the season. And then keeping your shipping underneath $6, I think, is a no-brainer here. But you can absolutely test calculated shipping. If everyone goes one way, you might find some success going a different way sometimes. Okay, so if you increase your conversion, if you increase your click-through and you increase your conversion, as you know from what I've described, that's giving you basically a cheat code. So utilizing a low display price with the gift box emphasized, this will lead to an enhanced click-through rate and conversion rate. These two metrics together have the ability to catapult your listings to the top of page one for different terms. So I want you to anchor this down. However you can go about increasing your click-through rate with a great front photo, obviously a great design, a badge, the gift box emphasized, a low display price, that is going to be beneficial for you massively over time, because the better your click-through rate is compared to the listings around, gives you immediately the ability to drive rank. Number two is whatever you can do to improve your conversion rate with your offer, with the gift box, with design variations, with some sort of sequence of pricing, whatever it may be, with your just pricing structure itself, whatever you can do there to increase your conversion rate, do it. Because if you can marry those two stats together and enhance click-through and enhance conversion, even if it's minutely better than your competition, you will, rocket up to the top of page one for whatever given term you're getting those metrics on. So that is your cheat code. If there's any secret for Etsy, it's literally this. This is how you work the algorithm in your favor, is you increase your click-through and you increase your conversion, which is not easy to do, but it should be the main metrics that you look at to focus on. That's going to give you the best output. Okay. And then optional, we have variations and specifically design variations. So with this combo, not only can you increase clicks on your listings in search, you can also increase the conversion rate on all of those clicks. So compounded together, you are feeding the Etsy algorithm exactly what it wants to see. This will catapult your listings, your rank in search, leading to a snowball effect as more buyers see your design. So as you can see with this example over here, you can see this seller has these 6 different design variations. They're all teacher ornaments, but there's different variations. So what does this do? When the buyer lands on your listing, they're able to shop on it. So they're able to say, okay, I kind of like the first one, but I actually kind of like the second one. And I also like the fourth one. So then they have to decide between the options you've given them. So this can be super, super effective. But with that being said, that's 6 designs in this case. It could be 4, it could be 3, it could be 5, whatever number you want to come up with. But with that being said, that means you're going to have 6x the amount of work. So that's where the difficulty takes place. So should you have variations in an ideal world? Probably so. Are you going to be able to get the maximized number of listings up in time with all having 4 to 6 variations? Maybe, if you have a lot of time to pour in. But if you don't have a ton of time to pour in, this is why it's optional. You may just want to put your eggs in one basket and double down on a specific design. And if you're in a search category with stacked search volume, then you can find, one design here, do a separate design, separate listing here, separate design, separate listing here, all within the same search category. So again, it's up to you. This is optional, but can absolutely increase your click-through and your conversion rates in that case. Okay. So your homework. So this is a challenge. I call it an ornament build event. I also call it a challenge because there is some challenge factors to this as well. So what I want to give you for homework is this. Utilize the shop analyzer tool from Everbee, if you haven't already, on 20 or more shops and begin to identify the exact micro markets you'll create products for. So I don't mean you have to tonight run it on 20 shops and then go through hundreds and hundreds of listings and identify the exact differences in micro markets, but you should start this process. I think if you haven't already done it, start this process now. This is step 1. And then begin to map out the specific designs you'll create for each major search category. So as you get into those major duplicates where you're like, man, I see hundreds of engagement ornaments, I see hundreds of babies first Christmas, start to identify the key differences in design that will lead to those fundamental changes in your title and in your tags, which is going to allow you to properly leverage the search volume that picks up like crazy during the season. And it's only going to help you with your click-through rate percentage and your conversion rate percentage. So you're feeding Etsy what it wants to see. So that's what I want you to start with right now. Get yourself moving, and you'll be in a really good spot as you start to build out this product type.